tempestuous sky over Milan, still half on holiday. It was late afternoon and the end of the warm-up at San Siro. The opponents were Genoa, and it was the first game of the season, and the last time Dejan Stankovic would take to the pitch. He was not alone, and seeing them there together, Mario Corso, Ivan Cordova, Javier Zanetti, Diego Milito, and Dejan Stankovic, you could have written a book on them. You'd call it Inter, and in this torrid summer during which everyone tried to spread truths, half-truths and non-stories on the future, you'd give it the subheading Moratti, in the name of the family. Decky ended his wonderful 326 appearances in front of a kid from the 60s known as Mandrake, who turned 72 that very day, the 25th of August. Ivan had already jumped to the other side of the playing field. Diego finally played with the Primavera, while the captain would have to wait. All people who had won everything there is to win. Seeing them there together, you might forget for a moment that you'd return to the stadium because you couldn't wait for the nerazzurri any longer. In fact, they remind you because they know everything there is to know about being nerazzurri. So you look at the coach on his second competitive game in charge, solidity personified, attentive to everything, a demanding judge with himself and naturally with others. You wondered who he'd pick. For a moment, you thought about the 9th place from the previous season. You scanned the team and, apart from Hugo Campagnaro, there was nothing new. Icardi and Taider would still have to wait a while. And yet it was all new. Same men, different tune, transformed, and people said the American tour hadn't given them much chance to get to know one another. Keen to perform, to create, to be a team, to run, to seek out the ball, have the energy to go after it, perhaps not find it, but to be Inter. When Yuto Nagatomo used his head and heart to give his side the lead, the very way in which he scored the goal, he and Palacio hungrily hurling themselves into the Genoa net, was a sign. Those inside San Siro leapt to their feet, worried about having to sum up the game with a meaningless, overused expression comprising 5 words. It just lacked a goal. Footballing nonsense. Confirmation came from the man in the headlines, given his past with Genoa, Rodrigo Palacio. After all, you have to find something to write and say before the game. It wasn't like it was the first time for Rodrigo. And anyway, there was no hero of the match. There was this Inter side, branded WM, Walter Mazzari, 2 powerful letters in football history. Enthralled by the opening quintet, won over by the result, the fans diminished. You heard people say, well done Inter. It was a fortunate start, and in week 1, that's fine. So is the sky, which from grey, almost black, became blue and spared San Siro the rain, a black and blue sky.